Okay, and there's a bowl of salad too. Anyway, Andre says he likes them. They're not what you buy in the store, that's for sure. They're not good. It's just maybe I cooked them too much. I think so. But other than that, Alright, people, this is the next day. I'm just going to work on finishing this video. Keep it short and sweet. Just show you what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to show you this meat that I bought. I'm going to take the chicken, quote-unquote, McNuggets, or nuggets, or whatever you want to call them, out of the freezer so that we can see how they froze, and I'm going to bag them up. But I'm also going to talk about what's going on with me and, quote-unquote, my daughter. But before I talk about that, I want to bring to the attention, as a reminder, when I dreamt that Shmei had died, and I seen her face, she was covered up with a blanket, and I seen her face above, and she was dead. And whatever happened to Shmei was going to go to TeaSha's room, and she was going to be next. And in my dream, I didn't want to believe that was going to happen. And I woke up crying. And as I was waking up crying, coming into consciousness, realizing what my dream had just showed me, I tried to convince myself that, first of all, Shmei wouldn't die, and neither would TeaSha. That the worst that would happen, because my dreams, they kind of predict sometimes what goes on in the future, right? And I can't stop it. I can only be aware so that when it happens, I can cope or react. Okay? I tried to convince myself when I woke up crying, realizing what my dream was about, that the worst that was going to happen is I just wouldn't talk to my kids, my girls, Shmei and TeaSha, anymore. Which, in a weird kind of way is kind of like a death. If you don't ever talk to your children again, even though they're alive, it's almost like they die. In a figurative sense. Well, I had the dream in 2016. By 2018, Shmei was dead. And whatever happened to Shmei went straight to TeaSha's room, and TeaSha was going to be next. And what did Julian do? He walked off to TeaSha's room, stood in TeaSha's doorway, and said Shmei wasn't responding. Whatever happened to Shmei went to TeaSha's room, and TeaSha was going to be next. Julian walked down the hall. He didn't run. He didn't holler out. He didn't ask for 911. He walked down the hall, stood in front of TeaSha. Well, maybe he pitter-pattered down the hall, but he sure in hell wasn't screaming for 911, help, none of that crap, and he wasn't running at top speed. He basically walked down the hall, stood in front of TeaSha's room, looked at TeaSha, and said Shmei wasn't responding. TeaSha said, what? No, Shmei's not responding. Then he stood back. He let TeaSha run past him. She ran down the hall. He followed her. And then he just hovered around, went to the sink, went to go get water to splash water on her. Because he knew the bubbles were coming up out of her nose and out of her mouth. Because he had cleaned her up before he went to TeaSha's room. Whatever happened to Shmei went to TeaSha's room next. And TeaSha was going to be next. Like, whatever happened to Shmei went to TeaSha's room, and TeaSha was going to be next. I woke up crying, convincing myself that neither one of my daughters were going to die, but I had already seen Shmei dead. Okay? And I tried to tell myself in a conscious waking state that the worst that was going to happen was that I would never talk to my kids again, my daughters, because I didn't want them to die. 2 years later, Whatever happened to Shimei went to TeaSha's room, and that's exactly the way it unfolded. Well, so far TeaSha hasn't died. And we know that Julian's not around anymore because he got shot down in front of a gas station a year and a bit after he killed Shimei. Okay? But here's the thing. And this is no surprises, as TeaSha reminded me today. No surprises. I've been telling you this for a while. Because, you know, I'm trying to make preparations to move out of this house into an environment where I can accommodate Amari's needs. I've already discussed that. Where I can insulate myself, where I don't feel insecure with the people around me in terms of my son and his wife. I don't trust his wife, not in the least little bit, considering how she came in on the foot that she came in on and what's been happening ever since, and with the fact that I have absolutely zero relationship with this girl. Andre found some old balloons that were in a box in the garage for 14 years. Go figure. And the kids, if you notice, my grandkids are here. 1 to 2 times a week, people, I watch my grandkids.
The balloons are really hard.
Well, they're old, but they're still working. After 14 years sitting in a box in a garage. Okay, let me do it. Don't make them too big because the pops get too loud. And I don't want a bunch of pops, okay? I don't want, my nerves are frazzled. Andre, please.
The beans are good. The beans, last night.
Oh, well, come tell people what the beans were like. Okay, come here and tell people. Here, you're hearing it from the horse's mouth when it comes to these green beans from 2016 that I canned.
I came back in for seconds last night because they were really good.
Yeah.
And also because we had a mixture.
Put your face so they can actually see you.
Because they had a mixture of beans. We had, what kind?
I don't know. Some of them had the strings on them because I didn't pull them out. So I must have had 2 different types of beans in there. Because he said he didn't get no strings. I'm the one
I got none.
Yeah, he said he got none. You know, when you have beans, if you're going to can them, you got to pull the strings, right? Depending on the type of bean. Well, for whatever reason, I got all the beans with the strings on them. And he got all the beans that didn't have the strings on them, because you seen that was a big jar. So I had a mixture of different kind of beans in there. But the point is, they were canned in 2016, and he came back for seconds yesterday for those beans.
They're really good.
They were really good. Okay, take them and go.
Hey, give it the balloon.
Yeah, you'll get the balloon, Alea May. That's a 14-year-old balloon. That's a very old balloon. That balloon is older than Andre. Like, seriously. Yeah, Andre's only 13 years old, and that balloon is 14 years old. Go figure. Even balloons can hold up with the test of time. But you stop digging in those boxes, Kyrie, because Nana has to go through them and wash some of that stuff. Some of it's musty. Yeah. Some of those things in that box are musty, and Nana has to wash everything first before I let you have it. And most of it's just craft stuff and balloons. Andre, where are you? Where did he go?
He went to the bathroom.
Okay, well, you go. Go.
Go, Callie. Go.
Okay.
Go.
Go. I so want to cry right now, you don't even know, people. And when I get to this state where I'm pushing back tears, my eyesight deteriorates and gets worse very quickly. That's a proven fact. Okay. So, as I was saying, or trying to say, whatever happened to Shimei, because she was dead, and I seen her, went to TeaSha's room, and TeaSha was going to be next. I woke up crying, convincing myself that the dream wasn't going to unfold and manifest itself to be reality, because I did not want my daughters to die.
Mommy keep trying to fall off the couch.
Hold on a minute. I guess Andre went to the bathroom and Leia May came and told me that Amari was going to fall off the couch, so. All right. I convinced myself that don't panic. It's just a dream, although I've had many dreams that have come true to one degree or another. I was obviously in denial when I tried to convince myself that the worst that would happen is that my daughters wouldn't talk to me and they'd be saved from death. 2 years later, though, the dream unfolded pretty much the way I seen it in my sleep. Was Shemaine dead? Right? 2 times. On the couch and at the hospital. Really at the hospital. She looked exactly like she did in my dream at the hospital, although she looked dead downstairs on the couch. Whatever happened to Shemay went to TeaSha's room next. Julian killed Shemay, positioned her body, changed her clothes, wiped the foam and everything that was coming out of her nose and everything, went down the hall to TeaSha's room, said Shemay's not responding, stood back, let TeaSha run down the hall. He followed TeaSha. He didn't call 911. He went to the sink, went to get some water to throw on Shemay's face because he knew that the bubbles were coming out, not only in her nose but in his mouth, in her mouth, and he was going to splash water on her face to remove that fact. As TeaSha's saying, "No, go get Mom." So he comes upstairs. He comes to my window. He doesn't say hurry, hurry, Shmay, Shmay. He just says come down quick. So I'm like, what? I'm thinking it's the baby. I don't even know what's going on. Right. I mean, 2 hours ago, everything was fine. I heard Shmay and TeaSha talking in TeaSha's bedroom at 8 o'clock in the morning for an hour, between 7 and 8. So I go downstairs. He leads me to the living room. And there's Shmay on the couch. I run to her. Clearly she looked dead. By the time I got to her, all the bubbles were coming out of her nose. All the bubbles were coming out of her mouth. And they were starting to come out really fast. TeaSha insists that it was a minute or so from the time she got to Shemay. By the time I got downstairs, that's how, right? So that's how fast those bubbles were coming up. Okay. All right. Now, that happened in 2018. I told TeaSha today because, I'm trying to, one, break away from an abusive relationship with my son. I don't care what anybody says. I know an abusive man when I come into contact with one, because I've been in abusive relationships. And my son is clearly abusive. Maybe not right now with this girl that he married, because he's got me to abuse. But once I'm out of the picture, whatever's eating away at him, if it hasn't already, is going to trickle into her. And she's going to feel what I'm feeling one day. Unless, of course, she's a Joan Duncan, like Uncle John's wife, that, I don't know, will find somebody else to turn his wrath against, to protect herself, so that she can manipulate him, because that's basically what's going on. She's manipulating him. Okay.
What's your favorite?
All right. So we know I don't want to live with my son. It's not happening, people. It's just not fucking gonna happen. I'd rather die before I live with my son, being dependent on him. waiting for him to bring me food that's been quite possibly poisoned by his wife. That's exactly how I feel. That feeling will never fucking change. I didn't make the fucking rules on that one. That's what they did when they started throwing my shit out and were rude to me the last time they threw out my shit. And criticized me and cut me down and all this other shit, but won't fucking move on with their own life. Okay, her parents, people, have a 5-bedroom house with no kids in it because all their 4 daughters moved out. So they got 4 fucking empty bedrooms in a 5-bedroom house. Okay? Now, there's a limited space in this house, right? So I went downstairs one time and there's this big ass white wall unit right in front of another wall unit. And I said, well, where did that come from? Oh, well, it came from, Marina's parents' house, and that's where she keeps her fabric. And I guess, I don't know, she wanted it there. And I'm like, well, it's kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. Like, do you want me to move that wall unit behind what you put it in front of? Because if you're asking me to get rid of stuff, we can, it's a those old antique hutches with the glass and everything that people used to put chinaware in. It's antique, real wood. I'm willing to remove that so they can have that out of the way to put this god-awful looking white wall unit with a bunch of fabric stuck around in it, right? To have, right? But oh no, I need that wall unit behind there, blah, just leave it alone. Yeah, okay. Well, now that it's been sitting down there the way they've got it with this white-ass fucking 2 times bigger wall unit than I've already got down there, with fabric sticking out of it, sticking out like a sore thumb, they're harassing me to make room for them, asking me to get rid of my fabric so that she can have her fabric. But why couldn't have that fabric and that wall unit stay at at this girl's mother's house, and when she needed fabric, she just could have went home, go into one of those empty bedrooms and grab the fabric that she needed to sew, because she's constantly downstairs sewing in the living room. You don't have to bring that fucking wall unit here and make it stick out like a sore fucking thumb. And then tell me you don't want me to move the antique hutch out so that you can push back the wall unit and have a bit more fucking room. Instead, you want me to get rid of my fabric while she's bringing in her little fucking rolls of fabric like this. Well, I got fucking bolts of fabric. And we're talking stripper fucking fabric. That's expensive fucking fabric. Or whatever fabric. Like, it's asinine. They could have just left it at her mother's house. Right? Why can't they just use one room in a 5-bedroom fucking house with 4 empty bedrooms to store their shit? Instead, they want me to get rid of my shit as they're rude to me. And fuck this shit, man. Okay. So we know I can't live with my son, people, no matter what. There's just absolutely no way. Okay? There's no way. I'll never feel fucking safe. I'll never feel fucking secure. I'm already thinking this girl got life insurance on my son. And she's just waiting for him to die, fall out of a fucking tree, so that she can cash in on that life insurance policy and then fucking leave the house the minute he's dead and go somewhere else. And I'll never, ever see her again. That is the relationship that I have with this girl. Because I asked her a long time ago, when we were kind of talking, trying to anyway, when I was trying to put the olive branch out, right? As I was being slapped down, okay? Either or, I asked her, I said, my son is a tree cutter. And he's already told me a couple of times over the last several years that he almost died. One time, he almost fell out of the fucking tree because it was rotten or something. If he climbs a tree that's rotten and you can't tell that it's rotten on the inside, it can just snap off and away he goes. And he falls 250 feet fucking down and he's dead. Okay, it's that simple. There was another time where, when he climbs up, right, he cuts them off into sections, right? So he ropes the top part of the tree, right? He ropes it off, gets it ready, so that when he cuts it, they pull it, and it comes down a piece at a time, right? Section by section by section. And it's all being done with precision, right? With somebody else at the bottom running the ropes. Well, I guess the boss hired a new guy, right? And he was just being negligent. And my son was up at the very top of the tree, cutting off something. The ropes were taut. And this new guy was throwing something into a feeder or something. And he went to go grab the rope to throw it somehow into the fucking feeder that, right? Which would have pulled my son literally out of the fucking tree and kill him. Right? But the other workers seen it and ran and stopped it from happening in split seconds. So my son didn't die that day. Because I went downstairs and I said, did Mark Kane tell you what almost happened to him? She goes, yeah. I said, well, how do you feel about that? Oh, well, it's his job and, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, well, let's just imagine if it did happen and you're living down here. What would you do if he actually did die? Would you stay and continue to pay rent, or would you leave? Because I need to know, people, because my landlady depends on me to pay the rent. She does not depend on Mark Kane to pay the rent. She depends on me to pay the rent. So I need to be prepared to cover the cost of my son's death. I still can borrow money on my personal loan to cover my rent until I can figure out an alternative, which would be I'd rent it out to somebody else, right? Being that my son dies, she'll just leave. That's what she said. I'll just go back home to my parents. Oh, okay. So you can go back home to your parents when my son is dead, but you can't go home to your parents and live there for cheap rent and stop trying to encourage my son to throw out my shit. And you want to put more stress into the fucking house by bringing in god-awful white fucking bookshelves with a whole bunch of little teeny-weeny rolls of fabric because you're the guru fucking tailor, like seamstress or whatever you are, whatever you think you are, as you put your nose up on my fucking stripper costumes because, God forbid, if Mark Kane looked at a stripper, I'm sure that would make her livid and feel so insecure. So because mom can sew stripper costumes, somehow I'm less than her in terms of, like she's, right? Right? She mocks me, people. She fucking mocks me. She criticizes me. She needles my son. She encourages my son to go bug your mom for more space. We need to do something with my wall unit, even though she could have left it at her parents' place and put it in a fucking room that's empty, considering that there's 4 fucking bedrooms in their house that's empty. And she already told me, if I get the news that my son is dead, she's out the door. She will walk away and abandon everything in this house after she basically helped to implode it from the inside out. And I can almost guarantee you it's just a matter of time before she gets life insurance on my son. Because she's married and she's obligated. No, sorry, not obligated. She's entitled to that money. And do you think she'd help me? No. Been there, done that with the Joan Duncan. So where does that leave me with my son? When I can't even trust the woman to not poison me with food. Not my son, but her. Or maybe take out life insurance policy on my son so she can cash in on it and walk away and act like she was a good fucking wife. Yeah, okay. As she's encouraging my son to harass me to get rid of shit when she can't even go back home to her parents right now and say, can't I leave this here because there's not enough room where I'm living? But as soon as my son is dead, where's the first place she's going back to? Her parents' place. So how does that make any freaking sense, people? Oh, you'll go running back to your parents' place the minute my son is dead, and you can cash in on a life insurance policy. But you can't fucking leave your fabric there with your ugly looking wall unit there at your parents' place just so that you can have a bit more space and leave me the hell alone so I can work on my own life and figure it out before I'm fucking dead? So that she can come up and look around and say, it's all mine now. Yeah, TeaSha's gone. It's just Marcane. And she can poke through my shit like a fucking Joan Duncan. Okay. So, TeaSha, you know I'm in a dilemma. I have issues, TeaSha. I need help. I have to build in the safety nets for Amari more than anything. I'm secondary to that. I've been pleading with TeaSha to take Amari for me when I can. And for ever since the first fucking time I said something, it's been, well, nah, I don't think I'm capable, blah, 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 and now it's, well, a couple years ago it was this, now I'm moving to the island on Kingston Island up by the freaking Venezuela, and we're going to build a house, and that's where I'm going to live. Remember that dream, people. Whatever happened to Shimei went to TeaSha's room, and TeaSha was going to be the next. The only thing is, TeaSha never died. Shimei died. That came true. TeaSha didn't die. But whatever happened to Shimei was going to be next. TeaSha was going to be next. Okay? And I justified it with, I'll never talk to her again because of bad attitude. You know, how families fall apart sometimes. Yeah, well, today. And like, how many times do I watch the kids? You can hear them all the time in the background, 1 to 2 times a week, people. Okay? If it's not, I need to sleep, can you watch the kids? Yeah, okay, I know you're tired. You just got back from out of town, no problem. Right? Oh, I need to do laundry and clean house, and it's too hard in the apartment to do laundry with the kids, and, blah, I need just time for, okay, yeah, no problem. I watch the kids. I want to go out. Can you watch the kids? Okay, yeah, no problem. Oh, I'm going to go for a dinner party and do this and yeah, okay, I'm going to watch the kids. Can you watch the kids? I'm going to go to fucking Kamloops. Can you watch the kids? Yeah, okay, we get it, right? We fucking get it. She phoned me up today. Okay. Asked me to watch the kids so she could do laundry and clean the house without having to deal with them. I'm like, TeaSha, I'm getting kind of tired, right? Like, you need to help me, right? She asked, when she went on her holiday, she asked me for diapers because, we're running low on cash. So I gave her a whole bunch of fucking diapers. I gave her a whole bunch of fucking diaper wipes. If she comes in and says, Mom, do you got some jam for the kids or what? I give her that, right? Okay. I gave her like fucking $1,600, right? In terms of, she needed money to get ready to go to her holiday, and then she needed more money, and then she needed more money. It turned out to be $1,600, right? I borrowed twice on my personal loan to give her money, okay? I asked her only for $400 back. And I got the cat fixed, and I paid $100 for shots, and I asked her for the $100 back because I wasn't too sure whether she'd take the cat back or not, right? So I got the cat fixed. That was done through a charity, and then I paid for the shots. And now that the cat is back with her, I kept my fingers crossed, hoping, my therapy cat, right? Hoping that she'd keep the cat because I don't really want another cat, right? But I would have had her come back if she didn't want her, right? Because I said, let her get her fixed. You look after her. And if you still don't want her, then bring her back and I'll keep her. Well, it turns out everybody's happy with the cat. And, and I said, well, considering all things said, can you at least give me back the $100 for the shots? So she has to give me back $500 out of $1,700, to which that $500 will be handed over to Marcane to take Andre to the dentist. And then I'm going to be looking at $500 several times to do Andre's teeth over the course of the next 6 months to a year. Right? And then the rest of the money she owes me is just simply come and, help me to sort out the bedroom stuff. Right? There's because I've been putting stuff into my room with the food prep. I've been bringing out stuff, right? When I did the cans, I brought out a whole bunch of, I put the cans down the hall in the cupboard in the hall, and I brought out a whole bunch of craft stuff, right? And so a lot of that stuff is just sitting in the playroom. And I'm waiting for her to come and help me go through it so that she can pick what she wants for crafts, pipe cleaners, pom-poms, paint, whatever it is, right? It's all kid stuff, right? And she can take it home and do it with the kids. It doesn't cost her anything, right? And I've been asking her to, like, you know, she said, well, I'll take Andre and Amari. And I'm like, no, that's not what I need right now, TeaSha. I've been saying it for fucking months and months and months. I need you to come here and help me sort out the clothes that are in the bedroom, whatever, what you don't want. You know, either we'll bag it up, try and sell it, or we'll just donate it, right? It doesn't, like, just, right? As I've been doing this stuff, okay? Same thing with the stuff in the playroom, okay? And then I need help downstairs because my son expects me to do it in a time frame where I can't leave nothing left out behind to be able to go down the next day or the day after to follow up to finish what I'm doing. So in other words, I have to pull stuff out, go back in, do whatever, and then come out and put everything back. And then when I'm ready to go down again, whether it's the next day or the day after, I have to pull everything back out to go back in and do what I have to do. And even then, there's no guarantee I'm not going to be fucking ragged on and humiliated and screamed at. Okay? As if I'm in a hurry to go downstairs and do any of that shit. Because you know if I ask him to move something for me, it's just a big fucking hard on. Because I'm expected to get rid of it. Yeah. As his parents want to be left alone in their 5-bedroom house with 4 empty fucking rooms. Yeah. Okay. And we know the girl is going to leave the minute my son dies. If he should die, considering his line of work. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. So today, I asked her to change Amari when she dropped off the kids. And like, he loves her. He really does love her. And he loves the kids. And you see, that's the thing. And I tell her, like, he really does love you, TeaSha, and he loves the kids. And he was all happy-go-lucky, and, you know, he had the runs because of the peg. That's what peg does. It softens everything, right? And, you know, and, like, but she's... I offered her those Rubbermaid containers from back in the day, explaining to her that they're high-quality food containers, food grade containers. I don't want them. I said, what do you mean you don't want them? Oh, no. I like clear containers. Clear. I like to see. I said, yeah, but you do realize when you put food in a clear container, plastic especially, the food deteriorates very quickly. So she snubs her nose at that. She didn't want my containers. Whatever. Okay. But that's not what I said today. You know, the subject of Marquand came up briefly. And I said, no, you know, like, I need you to come down and help me. Don't ask to take the kids right now, because that's not what I need. I told her, I was very point blank, like, I don't need you to take the kids for 2 days, so that when I need you to come and help me do this stuff, you will tell me that you've already babysat the kids for this day, and therefore she technically doesn't owe me $1,200, because technically she owes me $1,200. Now, I do have to give her some credit. There was 2 times that I can think of where she offered to come by and start helping me in the bedroom, but I was in the middle of something that was, like, very important, and I couldn't squeeze it in. But either or, I've still been asking. So when it's good for me, it doesn't work. When it's good for her, it doesn't work for me. But I'm like, no, you can't take the kids right now, because I don't want you holding that money over my head, Because what I need is for you to come into that bedroom and help me go through the clothes. Take what you want for Kyrie, what you don't want that doesn't fit Amari. Well, they're either going to be dropped off at the thrift store, or maybe I'll put them online for a big bag for $10, but for clothes, probably not, right? Books, maybe I could see trying it, but whatever. So anyway, I don't know how it started. I said, yeah, there's certain things that I need you to help me with. And, I'm trying to get out of this house at some point, right? Because I can't live with your brother. Oh, why don't you just give him what he wants? Everything will be fine then. I said, you don't get it, TeaSha. That's the point. It won't be fine, because it will be something else with him, because he's abusive in terms of, he's not physically abusive towards me, people, but it's like, when you're constantly being criticized or mocked or told that you can't do something, right? Or you told me you weren't going to can anymore. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're this. You. Right? Wouldn't matter if he got what he wanted down there. He'd just find another excuse to cut me up and try and take over my life, which is a form of abuse, because he gets aggressive about it when I say no. Well, his girlfriend, I'm sorry, she's a wife now, lurks around in the basement listening, and then needles him to fucking geek everything up even more. And that's the reality of it. Been there and done that with Joan Duncan. No different. Right? Because if she was different, I'd tell you different, people. Oh yeah, Marina came upstairs and, she asked me how I was doing and asked me if there's anything. Hell, if I take stuff downstairs and ask her to help me to do something, what comes out of her mouth is, not all the time, but I stopped asking. I don't even ask anymore. But what was coming out of her mouth was, well, I don't like to lift things. But I guess so, I'll help you. But I don't like to lift things. Yeah, okay. And you're going to have Marcane's baby? Marcane came out at 9 pounds, people. 9 pounds. That boy was solid as a rock. This girl is skinnier than me. She kind of reminds me of Joan Duncan, who was a bulimic anorexic. And the way I look at her with her skinny little self, I'm wondering. Okay, seriously. I'm wondering. But then I'm skinny. So it's hard to say. But definitely same characteristics as Joan. Plotting and scheming, meddling, conspiring to keep people fighting. We all know people like that, people. Don't say they don't exist, because they do. Well, that's what I got. And she's already confirmed that the minute my son is dead from falling out of a fucking tree or whatever, she's out the door back to her parents' place. So if that is the case, why can't she go back to her parents' place now, being that they're so unhappy downstairs? Why is she bringing big-ass fucking white wall units and sticking it in front of another wall unit just so that she doesn't infringe on her parents' 5-bedroom house, but puts the pressure on Marcane to clear out the basement so that she can have a kid? Yeah, okay. Okay. So I said to TeaSha, it's not going to work. We need to, I need you to help me get, we'll get a place together. And then that's how it started. I brought it up, right? Because I've been kind of like, we need to get, she said, well, you've only got 2 years, Mom. I said, 2 years? What do you mean 2 years? Because when she went to St. Vincent, she told me that it's not everything that she thought it was going to be. It's extremely expensive to live there. It's a niche market in terms of employment. If you can get in with the niche, then you'll do fine in terms of stable employment. But you have to get in on with the niche. In other words, you have to get in to like a government job or a company that's well established, or you got to have money because it's on an island right across from Venezuela, of all places. Okay. And that the land that Alex owns right now is overrun by bush and trees and everything. So it's not worth building a house on because it would require too much work. So I guess what they did is they put an application in to buy another piece of property. I suppose she mentioned it to me, but it was only in passing and I didn't understand the severity around it. But I guess they put a down payment. They've already put a down payment on another piece of property where they can build a house land that's already been cleared, where they can build a house. And they plan on moving out of British Columbia, Canada in 2 years. I said, oh, okay, right? Oh, okay. So what does that mean? I said, you're going to take Amari, right? I'm not thinking about me going blind. I'm thinking about who's going to look after Amari in 2 years, because I can't guarantee that I can do it. And we know we can't depend on Marcane's wife. She shows absolutely zero interest in Amari. She despises me and conspires to hurt me. So we know we can't depend on her. Marcane ain't going to do it, as much as he's noble to think that he could or would want to, but it's impossible because he just wouldn't have the patience for it. Never mind the time, because time is money, and Mamari would be more like a burden than anything else. Right? So it's not going to be Marcane. It's not going to be freaking Marina. Right? So I said, okay, well, if that's the case, you are going to take Amari, right? Because that's the only thing on my mind here, people. How am I going to do that? Because, of his medical needs. I said, well, okay, but what would happen if you needed surgery? Because she was surgery this or that or whatever, and the at-home program with the free diapers and all this crap, right? I'm like, okay, well, what happened if you needed surgery? What would you do? Oh, I'm a Canadian. I can just come to Canada and get it. I won't have to pay anything. I said, okay, well, if that's the case, why couldn't you just bring Amari back to Canada and get the surgery? Oh, well, that's different. It's hip surgery, and it's too complicated, and whatever, and the point is, people, she doesn't want the responsibility. She just doesn't, so I called her on it. And then she was just being beaky on me, right? And I said, I want to say something, but it's mean. It's mean what I want to say. And she goes, what? And I said, so basically, you're just another dead daughter. Whatever happened to Shimei went to TeaSha's room, and TeaSha's room was next. I woke up crying, rationalizing it in my waking brain, that the worst that would happen is I wouldn't speak to my daughters. I don't speak to Shimei anymore because she actually died. That's what my dream showed me and prepared me for, so that I could cope with the daily grind that I've been dealing with since she's been murdered. Whereas with TeaSha, in my waking brain, I told myself the worst that would happen is I won't see her. Won't talk to her anymore. That will be it. That's why I said, you're like another dead daughter. Because what? We're going to talk on the phone and be the best of fucking friends after you abandon us? And that's basically what I told her. It ain't happening. You're abandoning us. All of us. Oh, but it's my life, and I can't afford to live here. We'll never own a house, and you knew this was coming. And I said, oh yeah, but I didn't realize it was going to be in 2 years from now. But Alex already has the bank application. He just has to come up with, I think, $6,000 Canadian. And it's approved. And they're going to start, once they get the land, they're going to start building. $6,000 Canadian for for Alex to come up with. His income is over $80,000 a year. Okay? You do the math on that one. As she's asking me for shit. Yeah, okay. So I said to her, look, just don't bring the kids by. Like, you're just using me. Because I said, I want to say something else that's mean. She goes, what? Right? I said, because, it's dawning on me, people. And I'm like, well, like, fuck, you want me to look after the kids, so what? I'm going to look after the kids for 2 fucking years, 1 to 2 times a week, do this, do that for you. Well, I help you, I help you take Amari to appointments. Excuse me? You haven't taken Amari to an appointment for well over a fucking year. In the last year, you've had the kids 2 times. The one time, maybe 3. The one time when I had my eyes done, and maybe 2 times, 1 time for sure, where they had a little sleepover for 2 days. Other than that, that's it, people. These children are here like 2 times a week, 1 to 2 times a week. And they have sleepovers. Almost once a week, once every 2 weeks. Okay? So I said, okay, so you want me to look after these kids for 2 years. And then you're just going to up and walk away on us. How does that make sense, TeaSha? Oh, what do you expect from me? I warned you, I told you, we're never going to be able to own a house out here, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, look, just don't bring the kids by. Just leave me alone then. Like, what the fuck, right? Like, you pushing me to an abusive man. I said, you're my only daughter left, and if that's the way it's going to be, then you're like a dead daughter. If you're moving so far away, what the fuck is, what the hell is talking on the phone with you gonna do? Nothing. So don't expect me to fucking talk to you after you turn your back on us. And you've been holding Amari hostage all these years for your selfish fucking behavior. Basically, that's what I said to her. Of course, now it's into something else. Oh, well, boss, I can't get a job, and it's so hard, and you didn't teach me. And now she's the victim, right? You didn't force me to learn in school, and blah. And I said, look, like, no, TeaSha, you didn't want to fucking learn. When you had the chance, whatever it was, you always, like Andre. I said, you're like Andre. No, I don't want to. No, I don't fucking have to. Whatever. And then, of course, everything shifted on to Andre now. It's all Andre's fault. It's my fault that Andre is the way he is, even though he's the exact same fucking person when it comes to personality. I don't want to. I don't have to. I'm not going to do it like TeaSha was. And now TeaSha's crying. She's how old is she? 26, 27 years old. Still crying on about how she can't do this and can't do that when it comes to reading and writing because it's all my fault. I said, that's bullshit, TeaSha. I wanted to go to school and you wouldn't let me go. I said, yeah, you wanted to go to some fucking school. And you have to remember, this isn't a time when all these kids are running around, other people's kids running around trying to, do drugs and all this shit and whatever. She wanted to go to some stupid school where she had to take a bus, and we're talking like grade 4 or grade 5, right? Where she was going to have to take some bus, be on a bus for an hour one way, an hour to come back, right? And go to school with a bad attitude in terms of, I know what she's like, right? Because I've been dealing with her since she's been born. And I said, no, you want to go to school? I have no problem putting you in school now that you think you're ready for it and you're determined to do something while you're there. You can go to the local one over here. But no, she didn't want to go there, so she just refused. I'm not doing it. I don't have to. I said, fine, then don't. You can do homeschooling. I let her be. Because my objective was to keep her away from drugs so that she wouldn't become addicted under any circumstances. Keep her away from being a little thug, right? A little hoodlum, a little gangbanger, a little thief, or whatever. And she never ended up being any of those things. So mission accomplished on my part, right? And when it comes to learning, listen, when I was her age, and I've told her this, I used to sit at the kitchen table at 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the freaking morning with modules doing the work in terms of education. So TeaSha, if you really want to do it, you'll do it. But she doesn't want to because she never has. That's the problem. It's too easy to blame mom. Andre is the same way. He shuts down, gets stubborn. I don't want to. I ask Andre, I want you to do. I don't want to. I don't have to. Holy shit. I've been warning him for a month that I'm going to take away his Nintendo here pretty soon with that kind of freaking attitude. Okay? And then of course she now accusing me of ruining Andre's life because I'm not forcing him like I should have forced her, as if forcing would have accomplished something. So I'm going to get Andre tested. I gave her papers to drop off at a doctor's office before she left to go on her holiday. They just got dropped off like 2 days ago, 3 days ago. So that's like 2 months ago. I don't even know if that doctor is accepting patients now, because I left it too long. Either or. She's not going to help with Amari. And anything she does is temporary and short term, which is a moot point. It means nothing in the great grand scheme of things. And for everything that she does for Amari, I guess you could say Andre, it's only because, and I told her, you're selfish, you just want to use me to watch these kids for you until you don't need me no more, and then you're just going to up and abandon us all. And she doesn't like it when I talk to her point blank like that, people. But that's the fucking reality of it, because I'm not going to be sitting up on some stupid phone talking to her in St. Vincent under any circumstances. And that's assuming that I even live that long. Between my son and his bullshit and my daughter's bullshit, as I struggle every single day to try and get my life in order without them helping me, that is. And if they do help me, it's minimal. And if they do help me, they hold it against me and expect me to give back 10 times more than what they gave me. Wait until I show you this porch. All summer long, I was asking Marcaine to help me waterproof the porch, at least even a little bit, before fall and winter came. I asked him to help me with the back door, to run gray tape around it, because whatever, right? It didn't happen. So, when I get out on that porch, you're going to see the result of my son's ignorance in terms of being an asshole, and the kind of work that it created for me just because he likes to trash my shit and seems to think that it has no value. So if that is the case, why the fuck would I stay with him when I can't even trust his wife for valid reasons? I won't. And my daughter, as far as I'm concerned, is turning her back on the ones that need her the most, because she's always been the baby of the family and a runner. And I told her that you're just a runner. You were a runner when you were young. You didn't want to buckle down with the schoolwork. You ran away from it. Anytime, anything, fucking whatever, you ran away, and you're still running. Oh, it's my life. I want to have peace, and I can plant a garden, and I can do this, and, and whatever. Yeah. I can do nails there and make money there, but I can't do it here. Whatever. Whatever happened to Shimei went to Shimei's. Whatever happened to Shimei on the Shimei Whatever happened to Shimei on the day Shimei was murdered went to TeaSha's room, and TeaSha was going to be next. I woke up crying on that note with my waking brain rationalizing that, God forbid, if I lost 2 daughters to death. No, it must mean I won't be talking to them. In my dream, I seen Shimei dead. She is dead. 2 years on the mark from the time I had the dream. I'm now coming into the mark where I just won't be talking to my daughter. So my dream has come true. Or is coming to full fruition, because sometimes it takes time. It can take years for a dream to come to full fruition. Yeah. And if I can cope with Shimei's death, which I think I've done very well considering all things said, I'm sure I can cope on the day TeaSha walks away and turns her back on me and we don't speak no more. At least I'll know she's alive. Because that's what it's going to come down to, people. So I don't know where it leaves me now in terms of my only other option at some point in the future will to be exploring. I don't know, people. I don't know. I have nobody to depend on, really. I don't. I just don't. I don't know what to think. So I guess in that situation, you just live one day at a time. Right? I wasn't planning on moving out of here for a year or 2 or 3 anyway. So yeah, I can't, fast forward into the future. Teleport into the future. I just have to plan for the future without my daughter being in that future, and basically without my son and his wife being in that future. Oh, I'm sure my son will come visit me and tell me that he loves me, but it will mean nothing. It will be pointless. Because if he loved me, you don't stand over my grave and tell me that you love me and that I was this and this and this when your feelings are contrary to whatever it is that you think you might be saying on my deathbed. Because actions speak louder than words. Right? Because we know the minute you walk away, the last thing you're going to be doing, the first thing you're going to be doing is, where's Mom's life insurance policy? How much money is left in it? How much money do I get? Oh, we got all this now, Marina. What do you want to do with it? TeaSha's not here. TeaSha doesn't want it. She walked away from it. It means nothing to TeaSha, so take what you want, Marina. And we already know how Marina feels about me. Because if it was any other way, I'd tell you. So, that's it. I'm a wench to my children. I have a jar like this with my little leftover, there's something in there, with my little leftover dehydrated sweet potato with skin, and I'm ready to put some more in there. This is the last. I'm not dehydrating no more sweet potatoes for a long, long time. But do you think I can find it? No. So we're going to end it on the mitsu, because I have to grind up this meat. My order from Canadian Superstore got canceled this morning because I went back in last night and I tried to throw on cottage cheese and somehow it kicked out my order, so I had to reorder. No substitutes. Give me what I want or I don't get it. So they apparently have pork, you know, the fatty pork shoulder, right, at $1.99 a pound. It's $15, $16 for a chunk of it. If I get it, because no substitutes, right? I'm just going to cut it up into pieces and freeze it into like that, because that it would be really good to use when I want to make sausages or hot dogs, whether I use pork and pork or pork with beef, right? And then otherwise I'd have it here now if my order hadn't been canceled, because I got to start grinding up this beef, which I was going to do a video on, right? Not that you need to see me grind up beef and stuff, but, you know, whatever. Whatever. I mean, there's going to come a time when I just won't be able to make videos, people. So here's this mitsu. What I did is I just mixed up everything together. So we got a Maj Podge from 2016, 2020, 2021. We've got the chickpea mitsu, right? It was like 3 or 4 packs, right? Maybe 5, I don't remember. Dehydrated it all. I walked you through it. I highly recommend that you do it. If you were to buy a prepackaged tofu miso soup that are dehydrated, this is what they would put inside the little packet for flavor. Okay? It turned out really, really nice. You can see how nice that is. Right? And it's nicely fined up. Right? It's delicious. I'm telling you. It's really, really good. You would never know how old it was. It's delicious. Like, it's delicious. It really is. And with the way the world is going, I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to get a real rude awakening over the next couple of years. There's going to be a lot of freaking idiots running around without, like a chicken without their head on. Yeah. Kicking themselves in the ass for making foolish decisions. Yep. In terms of, you know, who needs this, get rid of it, whatever it is. Right? Yeah. So I'm filling up this jar. It's gonna get full. Okay, so I'm gonna end this video. So this is how much I got. So you know, in terms of cost, we'll just say, we'll round it off at $5 a container. I think somewhere like $5.98 or something like that. For 3 containers, that's $15. And the organic chickpea mitsu that came from Organic Matters. Oh, I don't know how much that was. We'll just put it at $15 because it's organic and whatever, right? So 15 and so $30. Okay, we'll just round, and that's in past times. I don't know how much mitsu sells for now. Well, I'll know that one day when I get to the grocery store. But in the meantime, look at that. And this stuff is good. I really like it. But you want to look after it long term, right? So I would recommend half pint size jar, no oxygen absorber, it's unnecessary, and if you can, vacuum seal it. And then put it away in a cool, dark place, and it will sit for years. And because, it's so potent in terms of a soup-based bouillon, you don't really need very much. Unless, of course, you want to eat it all the time. So this is a good size to start with. If you find that you're using it more often and it's going down faster, then use a pint-sized jar. Otherwise, I'm going to start with this. And then after this is all said and done, and Andre and I are getting into our homemade noodles, because I'm going to stop buying Mr. Noodles, because apparently if you eat too many Mr. Noodles or that type of product from the store, like that, not necessarily that brand, but that type of product, if you eat too much, there's been documentation where plastic has accumulated in the gut. Yeah. So we're going to be making our own homemade noodles in a variety of ways. And this Mitsu is going to be part of the broth. Okay. Now I have to put this on my computer and convert it over, and it's hard on my eyes, burning out my eyes. But I'm not going to sit up here and pretend that my life is all freaking rosy, people. You know how a lot of YouTubers are. Okay, well, we're going to do, and then one day they up and disappear, and you wonder what happened to them. Well, if they up and disappear, there's a good probability that they just died and disappeared. And YouTube let their channel stay up. You're waiting for the next video, right? Or you come into a channel where you watch something like something to do with cooking or something, right? Or whatever it is, and you go to that channel, and then you go into their videos and you see that they posted like 5 years ago. Their last post was like 5 years ago or 7 years ago, and you're like, damn, where did you go, right? And they're gone. Chances are they probably died. Right? And the whole time they were showing you these things, they never talked about life issues like I do, right? Kids are like parasites. I had a doctor tell me that when I was pregnant with... What child was I pregnant with? I don't know if it was my first or second child. I don't think it was my third. Either or, he told me that kids are like parasites. I said, what do you mean by that? He goes, they just suck the life out of you. And he had 5 kids himself. He said, they always want. That's it. That's all it ever is. And he was so right. They're never satisfied. The older they get, sometimes the worse it gets. Because they go looking for the life insurance policies. They go looking for the house when mom and dad get too old. Or whatever. Or they try and take over the house. My situation is take over the house. Yeah. Use and abuse me until they don't need me no more. Then they just walk away. Yeah. That's what my doctor meant by kids are like parasites. I don't know, after all these years, having 5 kids, going through everything that I've gone through, I tend to agree with him. So, as much as my son thinks he knows everything, he hasn't even had one yet. I'd like to see him walk in my shoes and then come back and talk to me about how he feels about things. Right? Oh, yeah.